Hi, welcome to The Magic Within, and I'm your host, Angela Glykowski, and we have our special guest here, Kristen Tinsley. She is a psychic medium, a stand-up comic, spiritual life coach, and teacher, and she's also the author of Messages from Spirit, a Psychic Medium's Journal, which I have actually, and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, so, and much more. I mean, that's just summarizing. But just a little bit of what you do. And I'm so happy to have you on, Kristen. You're such an interesting person in general, and a psychic medium, and all of these things. In a
Thank you.
comic, I love it, and it's never boring around you.
Never.
And you're always coming up with some amazing thing and some amazing, title or adventure. So I really wanted to share you with everyone. And
Thank you for having me.
and I'm so happy to have you here. So I'm going to start off with just asking a few questions. And the first one is, can you remember the first moment that you realized your own magic, your connection with spirit or your higher self?
So I thought really long and hard about this question. And every time someone asks me this question, it's going to be something different because I'm not going to be like, oh, when I was a little girl, I saw this old sweet old lady come popping out of my closet and say, oh, you're gifted. No, it did not happen like that for me. The first time I realized the magic, like despite all the other when spirit first contacted you, all that stuff, was when a friend of mine came to see me when I was doing readings at this like bar slash cafe. I just kind of went to kind of get my name out there when I first started. And her son was having some trouble. He was in like a catatonic type of state. He was very sick. And, she didn't know what to do. She was at her wit's end. And, you know, I I didn't know what was going to come out. I didn't know what was happening, but we were talking about this, and all of a sudden I said to her, because I heard it in my mind, I said, your son has a parasite, but also showed me another friend of mine in my mind's eye. They showed me this person, and the person that I was friends with, she's since passed away. She had been limping for a very long time. And then I saw her, she was walking perfectly normal. So I said, what happened? I said, did you have surgery? Like, I mean, this woman could not walk. It was really bad. She was in a lot of pain. And she said, no. She says, I had a blood test and it turns out that I had a parasite and they killed the parasite and voila. So they showed me her, and that prompted me to say, your son has a parasite. So lo and behold, wrestling with doctors, finding the right doctor, somebody that believed her and that wanted to do the test. Sure enough, her son had a parasite, and found the right doctor to help her. So that was one of the moments that I realized that this gift was a little bit more than I ever could think it was. So that was when I truly discovered a lot of moments have happened since then when you really get those downloads, when you know that the person that you're speaking to and the person that they want to hear from is really connected to you, and you just get that moment where you're able to pass along a message that's so strong and it resonates for that person, the name, you get the emotion, everything. I've realized that, there's magic to this. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, among many others.
Love it. I love it. And yeah, that is true. Parasites can do so much.
Oh yeah.
It can be, devastating. And I was just talking to someone about that. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that you connected it, because you really weren't trained, right? You were, you knew like intuitively
Right.
that was correct, and you kind
Because
of
they always,
almost
yeah,
did this yourself. Yeah, it's not like you
right.
went
They
to a
always give the
teacher.
information. No, because they always give you the information like that had to happen. Like this person, my friend, her name is Cheryl, was the one that passed away. She didn't pass away from that, but she passed away from something else. I had to meet her. I had to see her again to get that information, to get that knowledge. And then, I realized that it was definitely something else, because we don't think about the people that are in our lives 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She wasn't like a person that I thought about often. It was just, I saw her. I was filming some TV show, some skits with her nephew, and I just she just popped into my head. They showed it to me, and then I remembered, oh, and then they just channeled, he has a parasite. And the mother was like, you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be something that a conventional doctor would say. I mean,
No.
other than going to, have you been away? Have you had, like you
Right.
have
And they
to
don't
have,
even ask that. Yeah, because
yeah,
they don't ever think that. But this particular type of parasite, is what she did was she found a doctor who was discovering this, where the symptoms were mimicking like psychosis, ADHD, and like there was these kids that were getting locked up. And the parasite actually came from a spider bite. So, well, I mean, listen, all
why
right,
does
you
this
know
come up,
me.
right?
You know me, right? How this
Yeah,
always happens all the time.
yeah,
It came from a spider bite that anyone can get, a regular household bite. The kid is completely normal one day, and the next minute they're just catatonic in a state, and it just seriously rapidly declining. And this woman, she was doing these tests on these kids that were getting put away in hospitals because the parents didn't know what to do, and she was reversing the parasite. But the parasite had was given a certain medication to make it come out because it hides within our body.
right.
So if
You know
they're
what
not,
they
of course,
gave?
they're not going to find it. I don't remember with things, but I'm always happy. Like that's why I always say we're mediums by design, because everything that I've ever studied, read about, listened to, smelled, taste, touch, experienced, whatever is stored in my memory bank, and spirit can access that
Yes.
at any time to be able to help me to give the answers or messages that they need to deliver. They're going to trigger it to come out.
Yeah.
So, that's why I know it's magic, because usually on my mind is, work, cat, snacks, what's on TV. But all of a sudden
Right,
it's
we
like,
have our everyday life, right? But
yeah,
why do these things come up? Why or sometimes you hear things three times, like, all right, I heard that three times. I need to pay
right.
attention.
Yes.
Now I just to let everybody know, I just finished telling, like, I have some kind of bite on my ankle, two bites, bad. So I know that I'm very allergic to, like, I seem to be allergic to like mosquitoes. So maybe I'm just reacting more than most people would, but it could be a spider bite. And I know for me, I had Lyme disease, and I had a bite, two little marks on my hand years
Yeah.
ago. And I went to the doctor. It was like this huge, it wasn't like a bullseye, but it was raised. And I went to my doctor, and he's a regular conventional MD, and he's like, "Oh, it's a spider bite." Meanwhile, spiders actually carry Lyme and full infections.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I got it from, because there was nothing else. I mean, I could
Right.
have been a nit, a really tiny one, but there was no bullseye, and you don't always have to have a bullseye. But yeah, so I'm gonna definitely get tested in a couple of weeks just to be sure, because I have to make
Just to be
sure that there's
sure.
nothing
Yeah.
new. And it does take a couple of weeks. You can go on antibiotics right away. For me, I prefer not to if I don't need to, but I'll just be aware of it. And it's funny how that, yeah. So I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, and I know
We
for you,
never know,
Kristen,
you just don't know.
never know. Things come up for a reason, and that's why I feel it's so important to put these things out. Like,
Yeah.
somebody might see this and say, "Oh my gosh, I know
Oh my
somebody that
God.
has a child that's, you know, catatonic or has all these issues suddenly," and you just never
Yeah, we
know
have
what
to
comes out
explore
of
all
it.
options. Yeah, because the medical field, they're like, oh well, oh, if it doesn't fit into their little, book,
Box,
or they can't prescribe a pill for it, they don't pay attention to it. But thank
exactly.
God there's people out there that have had things happen, and they fought, and they've looked, and they've, researched and found answers, and they're able to help. And if I'm watching something that deals with that, it's never a coincidence that I see stuff like that. It's never a coincidence that anything comes out of my mouth at all.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it's never a
Yeah.
coincidence.
So I'm always like, yeah, that's why I'm paying attention. Don't worry. But I was doing it anyway before that, because I always feel like it's better to be proactive. I'd rather say, oh, okay, it's negative. And,
Right.
but like I said, if I test too soon, it's not going to come up. So I
Yeah.
have to wait a couple of weeks, which I have an appointment for already. Um,
Good.
so yeah, so but I know for you, Kristen, that you've had even before that. I mean, that was probably your first, like one of your first confirmations. But I know that you received things since you were little without even, like, just,
Well, when I was little, I would say that it wasn't so much as receiving messages. It was more of like feeling presences. I
yeah,
always kind of felt like I lived inside of a bubble. Not really like a bubble, but like I just kind of knew that I knew I wasn't like everyone else. I knew that. I just wasn't. There was a certain essence about me. There was a certain aura about me that I knew that I was strictly observing what was going on around me. I often tell, and my mother will tell you that I'm crazy because she's just like, I gave birth to you. I know that you were here. I don't feel like I know that she gave birth to me, but I just feel like I was kind of planted here. Like you're planted, you're going to observe things. These are your people, and you're going to learn to help people. Like this is what you're going to do. And I just always kind of felt like I was experiencing life, but I often felt like I was living inside of like a bubble of protection. Like things hurt me, things went on in my life, but I always knew that I was going to be okay. So I always felt these presences around me. Like I grew up feeling watched is how I felt. But I realized it wasn't anything spooky. It wasn't anything like, poltergeist or anything like that. Although I will say that Tangina and Caroline were my first teachers from watching that movie. That's
I love
real.
it.
But yeah, I mean, I had those presences around me, my whole life, and I could feel them. And then when they actually started to make contact when I was ready, there was a certain turning point where where I was ready to start to use my mediumship, which came in later. So it wasn't always, because, you know, like I said, I was planted here.
I mean, you know what? A lot of people, I mean, I know, look, I will be interviewing her also. Um, but there's another person that actually says that she's a walk-in from, you know, there was a body, there was a person lived her life, and then she died in an accident, but she stepped into that body from another planet. You know what I mean?
That
Like,
can happen.
so yes, it can happen, and not everybody's familiar with this. So I feel like this is important. Her name is Bear, and she'll be coming on it.
Yeah.
Gonna schedule that soon. So yeah, a really interesting story, but that's the thing. Like, so yeah, I understand what you're saying to a point. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, right? But you are here for a reason, sure, and we know that. I
Yeah.
mean, I just know that even for myself, just hearing, I know that a couple of people have actually been like, "Oh my God, Kristen said this." And I mean, you sat down and you just like started talking to someone, and you're like, "Yeah, this, and that," and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so accurate." You don't even
Yeah.
try. So, and not that anybody tries, but you know what I mean? Like it just comes out of your mouth. And I
It
experience
just
that
comes out.
sometimes, but it's just the way you are. That's who you are. And
Yeah.
it's just part of you. It's really
No
just
filter.
no filter in a good
No
way.
filter.
In a good way. You always have your heart behind it. So
Yes.
I know that.
Thank you.
So I want to ask another question. So how did that change your life when you realized that moment that this was real? This was like something that you were correct with and you could help people. How did that change your life?
It changed my life in a way that I stopped living in like the illusion of fear, where I knew for sure 100% that anything I did or any decision that I had to make, I should not be afraid. Because I knew that wherever I was going or whoever I was going to meet or whatever path I was going on was going to be the correct way in some way. I always knew that. I knew that there was never going to be the right answer, and I didn't have to go through my life looking for the right answer. The only thing I had to do was surrender my fear, and that's it. And I could do anything I wanted to do. You still have that humanness about you where you're afraid to make changes
Yeah.
or you're afraid to actually use the power that you have. But once you realize that you have it, you can step outside of that and you could say, well, I'm not afraid of this. And for a while, when I was, years ago, before I really stepped into my mediumship, when I made that decision that I'm going to listen to what God told me and I'm going to listen to what he said to me before I made the decision, I used to wake up horrible fear of death, horrible. It was crushing me. I just every day I would wake up thinking about it. But now that I know for 100% certain, that there is something on the other side, and that I am creating my own heaven here now, and I know that I'm creating my new life on the other side, however it's going to be. I don't live in fear, and I don't fear death. I don't go through my life being afraid because I know that I'm okay. I would say that, you know.
I love that.
And
That's
that's not easy for everyone because of course I still get afraid of things. Of course, I still fear things. Um, and I get down and I, wonder why, is it really that simple? To just say I'm not afraid anymore? Or, I mean, sometimes I feel like having a little bit of fear is natural and it's okay, to be afraid of things, but it's also a reminder, fear is a reminder that change is coming. That's it. Unless you're in an ocean with a shark. That's different.
oh no, don't say shark. Oh, Joy's got me. But yeah, we have to remember too that we are human. We're in a human body. We're living, that. So even though you have that fear, you always know that it's going to be okay. It's
It's
different.
going to be okay. Right.
It's
Wherever
different
I
when you have
go,
a fear, like such a strong fear, and there's no hope and whatever. But I think that even when you get scared, right, you always know that there's more. There's so much more for
there's
us.
so much more. And you
Yeah.
don't turn your back on that, because some people will say, okay, well, if you have no fear, you can really do some pretty destructive things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No.
not the way it's supposed to be. You want to keep going towards the light. You don't want to just say, okay, well, if there's no fear, there's nothing to fear, that I could do whatever I want. Believe me, there is something higher, bigger than us that there should be afraid of. But, or just, not even afraid of, but just not a part of.
Mm.
Not a part of that love, not
Yeah.
a part of that light because of the choices that you made. And being reminded of that, saying, hey, you remember when you did this? That's why you're not there. And if and just going through all of those things, because I do believe that there is some sort of a punishment, for not being within God's good graces, or at least within the light collective of good choices that we make in life. And not everybody makes good choices, and that's
No.
okay too. That's okay. It's okay. But once you realize, okay, I made that choice, it wasn't the right one, but I can forgive myself, and I can move forward, and I can learn from that, and I just don't do it again. you know there's only love, and if you live your life with loving people and showing empathy and compassion, as hard as that can be sometimes, you don't have anything to worry about.
I agree. I
Simple.
mean, and I feel like as far as like if we call it a punishment, I feel like it's just that we would have to do it over again, or we would have to just keep learning that lesson. It would keep happening until you're ready to accept, like, okay, it's time to change. It's time to look at this a
That's
different
not change,
way.
yeah. Mhm.
So really that for me, I feel like that would be what kind of like what you're talking about. Yeah, it's so much, and we are human, and we're here to learn. We forget that we're not perfect because we're here to learn, here to do more. We're here to experience these things, be human, experience emotions, experience ups and downs. We just don't want to stay in it. We don't want to sit in it. We don't want
Right.
to
You don't want
get
to
to that
attach
point.
yourself to that,
Right.
right?
And
No
sometimes
ident-
we need, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Emotional identities, you don't want emotional identities, you don't want
Right.
that.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, when we get sometimes when we if it's so easy, we don't make a change. But when we kind of have to, we're forced to, then that's when we step up and we finally do it.
Right. Well, that's
So
one of
it's
the
just,
things that it's like, okay, well, it's so easy for you. But it's like, yeah, it's easy. You think it's easy, but then at the same time, when it's easy,
yeah,
it's kind of like living in a shack, but you know that you have a mansion next door
yeah,
that's yours, that you can move in at any time, but yet you choose to stay living in the shack. But at
because
any
it's
moment,
easier.
you could go
Yeah,
live exactly. You could go live in that big, beautiful house that's over there.
but you got to
It just
walk
depends
there.
on what you want. Exactly. You got to go out your door and you got to get in there, because most people live a very small life, but you don't have to live a small life. The world is much bigger than we actually think it is. And even if you can't, I understand, listen, not everybody's finances or not everybody's freedoms are the same, but at least go and experience it with your eyes, with your mind, connect to it.
All
If
right.
you want to Go to a different country, watch a video about it, look at a picture, listen to the people that live there talk. Experience these things. Watch people eating the food that you'd like to experience. That's what this is. We can connect to anything or where we want to be in this world. This way, when we pass over, we know exactly where we're going.
Right.
People think, oh, I'm just going to go to heaven. The heaven is not one place. It's everything that we didn't get a chance to experience and see why we were alive. That's
I
how,
love that. Ooh,
yeah.
I love that. It's beautiful.
Don't tell anyone
Never
about
heard that explained that way before, but that's actually a really amazing explanation. It's so true, right? Like
it. Yeah.
that's what it's all about. And as we do our work and we learn and we grow and we experience and we let go of those things. And yeah, you may experience it again, but it's different. It's like you're taking pieces off of this chunk of whatever it is that we have to learn. And it makes it easier each time. And then, eventually you just let it go. And maybe it'll come up again years later. But if it does, it's like, oh, I know that. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna, it reminds you. I love it. I love it. See, let's see. So did this how did it change others around you, like your family and friends, when you kind of realized your magic?
Um, well, I don't get asked to like hang out as often as I used to, you know. I often get called, for some advice or stuff like that. I wouldn't say that it changed because, you know, I didn't grow up with parents that, were like, "Oh, you're a little weird," or "Oh, yeah, you have these gifts," or anything like that. Um, I don't know if I don't really talk to my family about this. My mother, my sister, yes, but like as far as like my siblings, I don't really talk to them about this because my dad's side of the family would not necessarily believe in this. And then my mom's side of the family, kind of grew up in a haunted house, so they have no choice but to agree that yeah, there's something there. Um, but I would say that it changed in such a way that it it made them realize don't mess with Kristen. Don't mess with her because she's gonna know, number one, and number two, she's very protected.
Yeah.
So don't mess around. So there's a lot of, and I often feel like I it's really hard for me because I grew up not really feeling a part of my family because I knew that I was so different. I was experiencing everything that they were experiencing, and I was going through everything that they were going through, and the emotions were there, but I always knew that I was separate from them. So I didn't have to, really like explain myself. Um, it changed me in a way that I live my life for me. And I do what I know is right. Whereas before I would always ask their opinion about things, and I would always just kind of like, think that I needed their opinion or ask them for help or just kind of like dim my light a lot, because I didn't want to shine too much because it would be like, oh, how dare you? But now that everybody's kind of moved into their own place and they found their purpose, it makes it a little bit more comfortable for me to be who I am. So, and that took some time to get there where they needed to realize that, yes, we're a family, but also at the same time, each one of us has our own path that we have to do. I know that they would never discriminate against me for it. They would never really make fun of me for it. I think that there's a level of fear about it because of the things that I've been able to say. I know that, sometimes, people will call me and they'll say, well, how do you feel about this? Or how do you like, what's going to happen with this? All right. If the answer is there, the answer is there. If it's not, it's not, but it's kind of like, sometimes it's like 1-800 dial a psychic, when they pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But, I
Yeah,
mean,
Nicole Kristen.
yeah, I mean, it changed my dating life. I mean, I don't really date much. Um, just because there's that, you can't lie about it. but there has to be a certain point of your life where you kind of have to say something to your significant other about what you're capable of doing. I haven't come across that yet because back in the day when I was, wasn't really dating as much, I wasn't, well, it wasn't in my power yet, I would say. It wasn't something that I would bring up, although I think I probably did, but it was very subtle. Um, so now I realize that it has to be a partner that's very understanding, kind of like Warren, Lorraine's husband, would have to be like someone like that, in order for them to understand the esoteric and the paranormal and, psychic abilities and things like that. It would have to be somebody who's pretty fascinated about that. So that way they have a level of understanding without really understanding it, because I'm still me.
Yeah. And it's
And then,
such a part of you. It's just a part of
yeah,
you. I mean, you
I would never
can't,
be able to shut it off.
no, you can't.
But it's not like, it's intrusive where like I would
No,
like know everything that he's thinking, or my friends, like sometimes my
right.
friends think I'm going to tell them something bad about themselves or something awful, and it's like it doesn't really work that way.
No, it's not. It's you're gonna get things that you need to know. And
Right.
there's a point where there's privacy. I mean, our guides know that, that
Yeah, things are private. I don't want to know everything
yeah,
about you. That's
no.
awful. I really don't want to. And plus when I hang around my friends, I don't want to be the entertainment.
No,
I don't want to be the comedian. I don't want to be the psychic medium. I just want to be Kristen Tinsley and just sit there and
exactly.
hang out, relax. And I think that most of my very close friends have, realized that, if you have a question, you can call me at any time. It's not a problem. But,
Right.
most of my friends realize that, I need to still be me. Like I'm still me. Because I have friends that I've known since, I'm a kid. And then, I have friends that I've met along the way. And some people just, okay, that's what you do. And
And they're fine with it. Yeah. I
yeah,
really do feel like more often than not, people are very open to it. Now, I guess that's thanks to, all the people that have been on TV, and kind of exposed this people to this kind of thing. And it's helpful for us because it's almost like they were the first wave and they kind of like opened it up for everybody else.
yeah.
And I'm thankful to them because, John
Me too.
Edwards and all those people
Mhm.
were
It
on.
makes
And
it so much it makes it so much easier. But then like when you're out at dinner with people you don't know and one of your friends outs you as a medium, you immediately become like
yeah, the
the
center, like,
cockroach in the salad.
yeah, yeah, I know, I know.
It's like, oh, why'd you say that? Like I just wanna I mean I've literally had people like, oh my God, don't tell me anything bad. Like don't tell me anything bad. I'm like, I'm not like I don't even remember your name and
Yeah.
you worried about me telling you anything bad, like that, like just stop.
And that's the thing too. I mean, you don't, for me, I know I asked for only things that can be prevented if it was something like that, or only positive things, because helpful things that are, going to help their higher
Helpful things,
soul.
right? Not anything
Right.
bad.
You don't want
I
to, you're
don't know
not going to
where
be
that
like,
came
guess
in. Yeah.
what? No, I mean, that unless it can be prevented, that's
Mhm.
one thing that I don't want. I don't want to know either. If it can't be prevented, why are you going to, unless,
Yeah, I don't want to know. Yeah, I don't want to
no,
know bad things. Like,
no,
but sometimes this is not a bad thing. It's a warning. Like, if you're so afraid
right,
of somebody saying something bad about something happening in your life, then that means that there's something bad going on in your life. And you probably should have a talk with me so I can help you to figure it out and to
right,
get around it as opposed to continuing to suffer. But like, I don't like, there's a big blurred line of misconceptions about, psychic abilities and mediums because we see so much. And the way that everything has changed, where back in the day you used to have to go to a dinner and a psychic or a psychic fair to get a reading. Okay,
right.
now it's on YouTube. There are
Zoom.
people who watch those tarot readings on YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and that's not to say that the messages don't come through. You just have to be consistent with one reader or two or three, whatever, or six, whatever you want, and the messages will come through, but you cannot allow that to guide your life so much without
No,
knowing if it's actually for you or not. Some of those readers, I mean, listen, I listen to it too on occasion. Some of those readers are really good, okay, and they'll literally tell you the story. But my spirit guides know that I'm gonna listen to it. They know I'm gonna listen. So if they need to get a message across, they're gonna have it come through to those readers.
yeah.
But the world and the way people get readings is very different now.
Oh, yeah. So
Where
different.
somebody could just send you a message in your DM like, "Oh, you have this evil attachment. Let me help you."
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not good. Yeah. When you see that, run, and just like,
Run as far as you can. Run.
pretty much. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, so I feel like it definitely does make people around you when they realize that that's going, like, wait, you're gonna say something, you're gonna, they're kind of like waiting for you to say something. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way all the time.
Doesn't work
I
that
mean,
way.
you're enjoying yourself. You're in a different space. Your spirit guides know that. They're
Right.
unless it's something that needs to come through, which does happen. I mean, it has happened to me with my friends. I'm like, wait a minute, somebody's here, and there's a message, and it's usually, important, and
Right. And that's fine. And
yeah,
that's fine. And I would feel like, most of my friends would be very appreciative of it.
they are.
Uh,
Yep.
and I've learned over time to not force those messages or to not
Right.
like cling to something or not just like tap someone on the shoulder, be like, hey, by the way,
Oh yeah, no,
uh,
you can't do
like
that. Yeah.
I've learned not to do stuff like that. But, you know, be respectful of our abilities and definitely don't like that's one thing I would tell people, like be respectful of our abilities. Don't just blurt it out like at a table somewhere, like when
No.
you're people like that's not necessary to do that because listen, not everybody believes in that. And some people, think it goes against religion or anything like that, or they want to think it's evil. And right away they just and people can be very, very hurtful and dismissive once they find that out, where they
Yeah.
don't want to look at you, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to touch you, they don't want to be anywhere near you. They treat you like you're some sort of a germ. And it's the most hurtful thing that I've ever experienced because I'm still a human being. And to see someone do that to you and other people around them don't know why they're doing that. And it makes you look like, wow, what did you do? Like, what did you say? Like something. And it makes you, and it's very obvious. Like I've had it happen, like when I do psychic parties and stuff, whoever they, I always try to tell them, like, if someone doesn't want a reading, don't invite them to the party
Yeah.
because I don't want to have to deal with the discrimination. I
Right.
mean,
Well, you don't want to make them
yeah,
feel uncomfortable either.
right. So if you're gonna feel uncomfortable about it, then don't go. Like I've literally had, people like just not look at me, not talk to me, like not even say hello or anything, like treating me like I am your worst enemy. And that's
Yeah.
really sad.
Yeah.
That's
No, that's yeah.
yeah.
And then like you said, you have to know your audience. If you're around your friends and something comes up, but if
Yeah,
you're
they know.
walking in a store and get a message for someone, you're not gonna, you have to ask permission. Like that's one thing that I love about at Longo.
Oh, I've learned not to do that.
Yeah. You kind of
Yeah.
have to ask permission. Like, I mean, but that's not
Usually I'm in
usual.
a conversation with a person already.
Right.
When that
Right.
happens, then I'll say, "Do you mind?" But I would never,
Yeah.
like
You
the way
can't
it's
just blurt out a
displayed
message.
on well, I feel like since we're talking about it, the way that I think it was displayed with the Long Island Medium, with Teresa, is the way they shot the show. It was Teresa would walk in to be in a store, and she would just walk up to someone and say, "Oh, excuse me, by the way," and just read them out of nowhere. So I think that people have that misconception that that's what
Yeah.
we do, and that
Yeah.
all of a sudden we're just going to start blurting things out. And not everyone, and now I realize because now they're teaching me again, they're just like, all right, calm down with that. It's showing me that, people are in all different levels of grief and they're out to have a good time too. So they don't know if I'm going to blurt something out about a loved one that crossed over that they're not ready to hear from, or they
Yeah.
don't, they're not emotionally stable enough to be able to hear that. Like if
Receive a
somebody
message.
started
Right.
mentioning things about my father, I'm going to start crying and there goes the whole night.
Yeah.
Or somebody says something. I mean, especially for more sensitive deaths, like a mother or a pet or, a boyfriend or a husband or something or a child,
Yeah.
you don't know. I mean, every death is sensitive to someone. So you don't, so they don't know if you're just going to like that, and that
Yeah.
was the one thing, about those types of shows because you don't, the way they present it is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they have to ask permission,
Right. And there's a whole
even just
other
to be on the
behind the
show.
scenes that you exactly
Yeah.
you're not just walking up to random people. These are people
No.
that have agreed and they're just putting them into an open environment and making it look like it's just a random thing.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly. So, and I know that, so Kristen, if you wanted to speak about your comedy, because I mean, I love that. That's what's just so amazing. I mean, you already were doing comedy, and then you also have another, now you've combined your mediumship with, and a
comedy.
psychic mediumship with your comedy, which is amazing, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted to talk about that a little bit and how that changed your life, because I feel like it did in some ways,
It
right?
did. Well, here's the thing. So in most states, there's a law that says that psychic readings can only be done for entertainment purposes only, and you have to make it very obvious that you're doing it for entertainment purposes only. So why not be a stand-up comedian on
There you
stage
go.
for entertainment purposes only? I can't make it any more obvious that it's for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's Ghost Giggles. I had a wonderful time in comedy before, and I realized why Spirit put me in comedy first. How I was led there, how I got on stage, how I got started. I met a very crazy group of people that I love dearly. We all went through comedy, like, ourselves. We all went to the open mics. We all hung out together. We all, supported each other. We all did these great things. And I like opportunities. And when I saw an opportunity to produce my own shows as a female comedy producer, I said, you know what? This is easy. I'm going to do it. So I started producing my own shows. I started making my own commercials. I started getting into marketing for the shows and the flyers and all this stuff. And it's just started opening up this whole new world of excitement and branching out and meeting new people and getting up on stage and making people laugh. That's what I like to do. And when that, after, COVID or whatever came about, um, and after that was over, I mean, we still did it. Like I had told people before it happened, um, I said to people, I said, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I think that we should start going, like, we should have our own. I have a Tinsley Comedy Productions Facebook group page. And that page was exclusively used for people who wanted to watch the show live. So
Oh,
they
I
would
love
pay
it.
for their ticket and then they could watch the show live. And they were like, oh, no, 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 people are never going to do that. Like, why would people sit at home and watch comedy? Well, 2 months later, the world shut down and we had no choice but to watch comedy online. So, and I laughed and laughed when people were like, because I came out as a psychic, like probably later on that year. And they were like, well, if you were such a psychic, why didn't you tell us about it? I'm like, I did. I'm like, why do you think I had the camera? And they were like, oh, wow, really? So I think a few people caught on to that. It didn't slip past me. Like
Yeah.
I got that download. But Ghost Giggles came about because I had wanted to do a show where I could tell jokes, where I wanted to include comedy with spirituality because there are other psychic comics out there. My friend Jessica, my friend Tracy, a few other people out there that, but those were the two closest girls to me. And they were out there. I started telling jokes about what it was like to be a psychic on Broadway Comedy Club, and people looked at me like I had 10 heads because I was telling this story, and they were like, because it's not something that that you would normally hear. I mean, I wasn't
No,
telling this like the little cute
a
quick
comic
jokes I do
and a
now.
psychic. Yeah.
Right. Like, they were like listening to me tell a story about crossing people over in a movie theater. And they're like, what? And then like some of the women got it, but especially the Teresa Caputo joke. People always get that joke. That then they finally get what I mean. But then somebody pulled me aside, one of the producers at Broadway Comedy Club, and he was like, what's a medium?
Oh, they had no clue, right? Because
No
if they
idea.
didn't follow it on TV, they don't know. They
No, they
don't,
had no idea. They had no, and I was like,
or
well,
if
it's a
they did, they
psychic.
think of like looking at a crystal ball and
Yep, that's what this is. Yeah. So I mean, there's never a dull moment with creating jokes that go along with what it's like to be a psychic. I will never run out of jokes for that at all. But I might as well get up there and educate people. That's the main purpose, is to teach people about psychic abilities while making fun of it, while elevating their vibration so that the humor gets them, to open up.
Yeah.
because it was the same thing on stage, being able to pick out a person that I could zero in on, either to make fun of or to give a message from the other side. So it's for me, it was the same type of crowd work, where I could feel the energy of people. Like, who did I resonate with the most? Who was I drawn to? And I never, until that was one of the only classes I ever took, was about platform readings, doing dem readings like that. And it just clicked as I was taking the class. I was like, oh, you already do this in comedy. Like, you already know about this. Like, you already do this. And it just became very easy. And then I just had to, and just do it.
Yeah.
So, I met Angela, and, she had just graduated from comedy class, but she had already been a medium for 25 years. And then I also had my friend Tracy, my friend Barbara, and my friend Jessica. We all did that psychic open mic night.
I
And
remember. Yep.
yep. And that was the first time that we ever did a gallery reading. And then after that, me and Angela were like, oh, well, maybe we should do this, as just me and you just doing the shows. And then the next day she says, oh, what if we call it Ghosts Giggles? And I was like, perfect. And it just took off from
It
there.
was great. And I love it. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny, the question I was going to ask you, how does it show up in the work that you do and transitions to the people that come to you and your clients? But it is, there you go. I mean, it's not just people that come to you, but people that come to the show. And I know at the end, like, we'll take turns and you meet the crowd, and it's just
Yeah.
awesome. And I
I
love it.
call I call in my clients. I ask spirit to send me the people who need me. Which sometimes you got to really fine tune that a little bit, because sometimes you could get some, because like I said, we're mediums by design, and I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life, and sometimes you
Right.
get, people that are,
And that's
um,
what's going to come because you know and you've learned, and so you can help those people. And it's up to
yes.
them in the end to, help
And I
themselves.
have my freedom as to, okay, I want to go, like I volunteered to go read for a group of angel moms recently.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And I knew that they had come to one of the last Ghost Eagle shows that we did. It was for the Hair We Share group. And me and Angela had done that. There was also volunteer. We did that for a fundraiser.
Right.
And somebody had mentioned that there was a bunch of angel moms in the group, and I was like, oh, okay. But I wasn't necessarily getting like a lot of, I mean, I may have, but I wasn't there was so much going on that night that I was tuning in, but I was tuning out. And I read for the couple people that I did, because there were some people like that I was literally spot on. Like, there was these two women sitting in the back, and I zeroed in on them because they were laughing.
Yeah.
So I was like, why are they laughing at me? Like, they were looking at me, they were laughing. And I looked at this one woman, I said, who's Sally? And she started to laugh again. And, they didn't respond to me, nothing. And at the end of the night, I said, oh, what were you girls laughing at? Because they were laughing. And she said, oh, you were right, 100%. That was her Aunt Sally that came through. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, so there was a
Yeah.
lot
Thanks
of
for telling
like
me now.
that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for telling me now. But then they
They,
just kind
yeah.
of like
People do
laughed.
that. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay. But there was a couple of other people who just like kept coming up to us. And then there was a woman's, a woman's brother who was unalived. And people, me, I have my notebook of names and of people who
Yes.
come to me. And the guy who did that to her brother's name was in my book.
Oh,
First name and last name. Not in the same row, but first name and the last name. But I knew how he died. So we were talking a lot about that. So everybody else had kind of left at that point because it was already late, and I think it was during the work week also. So when I found out that they were there, I contacted the woman who runs Hair We Share, and I said, "Listen, let me put me in touch with the person who does that, because they all get together." And I said I'd like to go and read for them. I want to give them, and it was
give them peace. And now explain what an angel mom is, so that in case
Angel
somebody's.
Mom is the mom who's lost a child.
Okay. I mean, just in
Mm.
case somebody didn't know what that was.
Yeah. So I went, and I was nervous because I know that there
How
is literally
important.
nothing that I could say that's going to make them feel better. But there was. I was actually very surprised that some of them had been asking their children to come through, and the way that they asked and what they wanted confirmation for, I was able to give them without even knowing that it was. And just to have those moments, or just to, because I always tell people, listen, if you say to yourself that you know that you're going to see your loved one on the other side, and you're just waiting for that day, I said that wait is over, because death is not the end.
Right.
You have to believe, okay, that there is a way to communicate with your loved ones on the other side. And once you learn to communicate with them in the way that they can communicate with you, your life will change forever. Because it's not just about communicating with them. Once you join them, now you got to communicate with the ones you left behind. So get used to it. I know it's not the same. And that's what I can't fix. I cannot fix that. I cannot.
It's a different energy.
It is. I can't bring them back so that you can hug them. I can't. But I wish I could.
Yeah.
But I can teach you how to communicate with them, with spirit, with a lot of different spirits. It's not anything evil. It's not anything crazy. They're here to help you on your life path.
Right.
And once you start getting used to that communication, it's like a baby learning to talk.
Yeah, it's like a whole language. It's an energy language.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain, but it's just amazing. And that was beautiful that you did that, because we give back also. And Kristen and Angela at the end of every show, well, they collect at the beginning and they always give something to charity.
Charities.
And, we do a lot of charity events together, and I think that's important because, of course, we should get compensation at some point for the energy that we're extending, but there are many times that we do volunteer for that.
Right.
That's true. To me so important. It's a balance. And
it is a balance.
Really important. And doing that for those people was just amazing, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
That's why we're friends, because I know that.
Because it's not, Yeah,
you're awesome. I mean, I'm so grateful to watch you grow and learn. I mean, there's so much. Even the time that I've known you, I see you grown so much. With many things, spiritually and with your business, and I just can't wait because I know there's so much more.
Oh, there is.
So much more. See, and she's always thinking of something, and she's always had some amazing thing going on, and I love it, and just great job.
Just the minute you think, she's finally settled down, she's quiet.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, I know that's not happening.
No.
Remember, I'm a psychic medium too.
Exactly. You already know.
But yeah, and this is just, I'm sure we'll do this again. And it will update, but I'm so I think it's really important what you shared, and I see in them maybe what they have their own magic, and that's the purpose of this. But it is a very interesting story. You're definitely an interesting person. I think that we need to embrace our uniqueness, because we're all unique and different in general, and then now you also have it within the spiritual community. So you are definitely unique and amazing, and you offer a lot to people and yourself too. I mean, you do a lot. Yeah. So I wanted to thank you for sharing your journey, or a piece of your journey, because it's a very small piece.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, there'll be a book coming out. You'll see.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
You already told me.
And much more.
Much more. Oh yeah, just wait. It's all coming. It's all coming.
It is. Good stuff, and it's needed. So I will post. Kristen, do you want to say how you can I'm going to post it also, but if you want to tell people how they can contact you, if they want a reading or anything, there's so much more.
All right. Well, I will definitely say that. But if you want to get my journal, okay, it's on Amazon. It's called Messages from Spirit, a Psychic Medium's Journal. It's on Amazon. Just, kind of type it in by me, Kristen Tinsley, if you want that. I do teach those classes live or through Zoom, so I will keep posted. But you can go on my website, www.kristentinsley.com, and you can check me out. That's how you book a reading with me. You can follow me on social media at Divine Comedian Tarot on Instagram, or just look me up, Kristen Tinsley, on Facebook, and you'll find me. If you're meant to find me, you're going to find me.
Yeah, exactly. And so look out for more amazing things from Kristen. I'm grateful for you for coming on
Grateful for
and
you.
sharing your journey because it's so important.
Thank you.
And you know, I can't wait for more.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And until the next, look out for the next, The Magic Within. And we're going to have some more people on. I already have it lined up. So,
Yay.
yay.